let's talk about Clerks 3. So,
I'll let you kick us
you
off,
want me to kick us
Matt.
off? All right. So, a little bit about my history with Kevin Smith. Love Kevin Smith. I used to love Kevin Smith a lot. Back in high school, my first Kevin Smith movie, oddly enough, was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Probably one of the worst ones to start with because it's just all inside jokes, right? But I loved it. Still loved it. Thought it was hilarious. I didn't understand half the shit I was watching. Actually, I did. Like, I felt like it explained it enough. Like, oh, okay, this guy writes, comic books. This guy loves comic books. They're making a movie based off the comic book. Okay, cool. I get it, right? And then after that, I went back and watched, I think the next movie I got to watch was Mallrats. Which of course ends with them talking about Suzanne and Jay and Silent Bob, and it's like, holy shit, that's Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It actually wasn't Jason Bob, but it was still, it made me think that it was that. Right? I was like, holy crap, I think this is like a shared universe. Like this is a whole thing. And then I watched Dogma next, so just completely out of order. And then I think I watched Chasing Amy, and then Clerks is the order I went in. And then I watched the Clerks animated series, which is great. Yeah. And, and then Jersey Girl, I actually like Jersey Girl. And then Clerks 2 came out, and it was right after I'd gone out of high school. So like I started high school with Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And then a year after I graduated high school, I watched Clerks 2. Because I think it came out in 2006. I might have my years wrong, but I think it was 2006.
No, I think you're right. Because there's something in Clerks 3 that shows that year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're right. And so, it's kind of like a full circle moment, especially where Clerks 2 ends, with them finding their place. And, I thought Clerks 2 is, I love Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back the most just because it was my first one. But I think Clerks 2 is the best of the movies. I think it's just the best made. Well, maybe Dogma. Dogma has a special place in my heart too, just because it's great. And then he did like Zack and Miri, and I went and watched that. I thought it was funny. And then he did Red State, and Red State blew me away. There is an ending near the ending, and I won't spoil it here if you've not seen Red State. It's Kevin Smith's horror film. And so take that for everything that it means. But there's the part at the end where something happens. And if you've watched it, you know what I'm talking about. But something happens, and my jaw was on the floor. I was like, I can't believe this is where this movie's going. This is insane, and I love this. And then they kind of take a step back, and that's not actually what happened. And like, I get it. I get why they didn't do that. But honestly, I wish they would have just left it. Because I thought that was just a perfect ending. Like, just leave it at that. Because it's so fucking random, Like, it just melted my brain.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Smith started making some things that, like, I didn't check out. Because, like, he really kind of teetered into this, like, horror side, and, like, self-produced stuff. And they got weird, like... There's like Tusk and Yoga Hosers and like just some. Do you know what Tusk is? I won't say too much, but it's about a guy that's like in love with a walrus or something to that effect. And so he makes a person like dress like a walrus, or that's the story it's based off of. But he turns the guy into a walrus, almost like Human Centipede style. Like he like medically makes him a walrus, like gives him tusks and stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know. And if I'm wrong, that's what I think it is, and that's why I've not watched it, because it just sounds fucking weird, right? And then finally, after a few years, he finally comes back with Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Okay, and that came out a couple years ago, I think. Mm-hmm. We watched it, and I loved it. Of course, going back to the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back stuff. And it legit is just them remaking Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which is hilarious. And like, but it did feel a bit detached, right? Like it felt like a cartoon almost, like there was still a bit of that, like, I don't know. It wasn't the same comedy. It was, it just, I don't know. Like even even in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Jay had like a sweet side, you know?
Yeah.
And like even though that existed in Reboot, and like they do get to those moments where there is some heart in it, I don't know, it just felt like it was like left of center, if that makes sense. Like it was almost there, but just something was just not quite there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just because he didn't get like any feedback from people, or because he was self-producing, or you know, I don't know, but it was almost like he was writing them the way that he thought people wanted them to be wrote, as opposed to the way he would write them. Yeah. Like it was almost somebody else's version of Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
As opposed to Kevin Smith's. Right.
Yeah.
So that being said, I really love that movie. And I think the ending of it being a secret sequel to Chasing Amy is fantastic.
Yes.
Like it comes out of nowhere and it was just perfect, and everything it had to say was wonderful. And I mean, honestly, I think if you watch these movies and you've not watched that, I highly recommend watching it, because it just works perfectly for us now as adults, having, you know, kind of in a way grown up with these movies, even if you watched them late in life, but like where you are now, if you've, you know, if it's been several years, like it's just a perfect way to go into adulthood with these Kevin Smith movies. So that being said, we are now at Clerks 3. Okay. So that was kind of the build up to where we are. And Clerks 3 picks up nowadays. So everything in Clerks 2 happened. They now own the Quick Stop. And I've been very excited for this movie. Kevin Smith had a heart attack a few years ago, and that serves as his inspiration for this film. And so it goes full meta, where this is in the trailers and stuff, so I mean, this is just the synopsis, where Randall has a heart attack and decides that he wants to make a movie about his life, and that movie will be Clerks. So this movie is about them making the movie Clerks, which obviously we've seen. And Randall is based off of Kevin Smith, which Kevin Smith, when he made Clerks, was about him making a movie about his life. So he lived Clerks and then made a movie called Clerks, and now those characters have lived Clerks and are making a movie called Clerks. It's great. Okay. It melts my brain. And so just the idea of that was solid for me. I was like, this is weird. It hit me this morning. I was like, it's funny that Kevin Smith did The Fabelmans before Steven Spielberg did.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
So we watched it last night, and it was available to purchase, and finally got to watch it. We didn't get to go in September. We was going to, but there's a little thing that was going on. So we didn't get to, but we got to watch it digitally, thankfully. And I think, like, when the movie ended, I looked over at Maggie and I said, I don't like it. And like, I don't mean I don't like it. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot. I laughed a lot. Okay. And again, this running theme of these two movies here, and I guess we said it a little bit in She-Hulk, it just didn't go. It didn't do, I guess, what I was not expecting. And that's not even, like, I'm fine with things not being what I expect. I actually like that most of the time. But this just felt, not empty. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. It just felt like we were building to something and then it just stops.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know this movie felt like it was trying to say something, like Clerks 2 said something, like all Kevin Smith's movies say something. Even when they're silly, they say something. And like, it felt like this movie didn't say what it was wanting to say.
Yeah. Or
if it did, all it wanted to say was one sentence instead of a paragraph. I hope that makes sense. I know this is spoiler free, so I can't really get into it. I would say before we get into spoilers, and obviously you'll talk too, but I would say if you've watched these Kevin Smith movies, and you've kind of dipped out like I did for the horror stuff, I would say definitely give this one a shot if you loved those movies like I did. I think it's definitely worth watching, and just to see these characters again is awesome. Seeing Jay and Silent Bob again, I felt like they were more Jay and Silent Bob in this than they were in the last one. And especially the references back to all of the Views universe, but specifically Clerks. Even more just the original Clerks. I mean, there's a lot of Clerks 2 stuff too, obviously. But I mean, it really is like almost like a love letter to Clerks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's all I can really say before we get into spoilers. So, Maggie, what did you think of Clerks 3?
I think I enjoyed it. But my first experience with Kevin Smith was Jay and Silent Strike Back.
Schnoogans.
My brother had it, and I think he told me, "Hey, if you think you can, watch it," and which I did. And I thought it was hilarious that I kept on watching it over and over and over again. But I didn't know much about, that there were other movies that Kevin Smith had made. I didn't know that. So, and also I didn't know that Kevin Smith was Silent Bob. Like, that's, like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But when we got married and, was the reboot was coming up or something?
Yeah. We was gonna watch Silent Bob reboot.
You're like, we need to watch them all.
Yeah.
I was like, all? What do you mean all? You're like, well, there's Clerks. I said, well, yeah, I've heard of Clerks. Like, the older I got, like, I realized, oh, this is Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
He does this. He has a show about, comic book men. I knew that.
Yeah.
But you're like, no, there's Clerks, and there's this one, and Clerks 2. And I remember, like, rave reviews over Clerks 2 whenever it came out.
Yes.
And then, like, so on and so forth. I was just like, there's that many? I didn't know that.
We even watched like 3 episodes of the animated series.
Yeah, we did. And I remember when I was younger, when Dogma would show up, like, come on NBC or something.
Yeah.
So I never.
Probably Comedy Central.
Maybe. I feel like it was like on some random channel one night.
I mean, it could have been.
And I remember I caught part of it.
Yeah.
And I can just, it's like burned into my brain about Salma Hayek and Jay and Silent Bob, like hiding.
Yeah.
Like, I guess because Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were throwing stuff. I can't remember.
Was it in the bar?
I don't know. I can't remember. But like, that was always burned into my brain, and I did not know what that movie was called.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I realized when I got older, I was like, oh, it's Dogma. But I didn't know that all that stuff was.
That it was a cinematic universe.
Yeah, but I agree with you that it is. The Clerks 3 is definitely a love letter to Clerks.
Yeah, for sure.
And definitely Jay and Silent Bob are very much like themselves in this one. Especially with them. I really like the fact that they have their own store.
Yeah.
but
they still sell it.
But they still sell it out front. Like, it's still illegal. I really like that. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Is not quite what I expected.
Yeah.
But I thought, all in all, it was sweet in some ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think, without going into spoilers, I think that, I would say the last maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes is where it started to kind of fall apart. Feels too strong. But it's just where it started going in a direction that, I don't know, I don't say it felt unearned. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to get into spoilers or else I'm not going to be able to really describe what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'll say, if you've not seen a Kevin Smith movie, I wouldn't suggest starting with this one. I think Clerks 2 is actually a decent place to step in. Even though there's going to be some things that you don't No, like I think it's a universal story of just working at in fast food, right? And just wanting your life to be better than it is. I think that Clerks 2 fits that perfectly. If you're wanting to start from the beginning, feel free. Clerks is good. Clerks is better than I remembered it being. But it's a bit not rough, but I mean it is a 90s indie film that was made for $25,000. So I mean, just it may be a little rough around the edges, I guess.
Yeah.
So and then, I mean, but if you are one of those that want to just really get this whole story from start to finish, I think it's worth doing for sure.
Yeah.
If you have no interest, if you've watched a Kevin Smith movie and you didn't like it, I don't think Clerks 3 is going to change your mind. But if you were on the fence and you liked them, but you didn't know if you wanted to get back into it, I would say check it out. I think it's worth checking out. So, ready to get into spoiler section?
Ready.
Spoilers. We're in spoilers. I can't believe Rosario Dawson was dead the whole time.
That is true.
That's actually true.
It shocked me that when they said that.
I can't believe they did that.
And and I was like, well, Dante should at least have a kid. No. They totally just killed his happy ending, and I kind of hated it for that aspect because that was the whole point of Clerks too. Yes. Like he got his happy ending. He got the life that he wanted.
Yeah. I mean, not even just the life that he wanted. He learned to accept the life that he had.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like getting the quick stop was a dream come true, and but he realized that almost like George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life, he realized that the life he had was worth having.
Yeah.
And like, I hate that this movie just undoes all of that. And that these characters have just remained in this state of arrested development, right? Not the show,
I know what you mean.
And like for us to start there, and we're in full on spoilers, and to end with Dante dying, having not gotten anything, having not truly grown or earned anything, only just to have his friend treat him like shit, and then him get so drunk and pass out and black out and have a heart attack and just die, and then looking back at his life and thinking it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But like that's not really earned. Like I mean, he's just watching a movie. I get it. The movie's his life, and we're seeing the clips are actually from the original Clerks. And I get all of that. Okay. And I guess in a way it's saying the same thing that Clerks 2 said, but it almost felt, I feel like all my language is way too strong, but I feel like it was almost gratuitous. Like he almost killed off Dante just because he felt like he had to do something bold. Like it didn't fit. I feel like the ending of this just doesn't fit the rest of this movie. And like for it to end like that, like what a shitty fucking story for Dante, and Dante's obviously the main character.
Yeah.
He's always been the main character.
Yeah.
And like, I get that, Randall's making the movie and stuff. And I feel like Randall honestly didn't grow that much. I mean,
he didn't.
He tells Dante that he's always been, the main character in his story and stuff. And sure, that's great, but like, we're killing off Dante, We're going to kill him off from a heart attack for just a shitty, nothing, terrible, like Dante lived a shitty fucking life and then he died. And that's the character. And that's, and what are we as the audience supposed to take from that? Like, Clerks 2 told us to, that to not be so down about your life that you miss all of the good things that are actually there.
Yeah.
Right? Clerks 1 was, to get yourself out of your problem, right? Like if you are stuck and you can't move on, then you need, like, if you can't get past this shit in your life, then you need to get up and make this shit change, right? Shit or get off the pot, right? That's the whole thing. Chasing Amy, obviously, acceptance of yourself, acceptance of others, letting go of your own fucking past, and don't put your fucking baggage on everybody else. Dogma, religion, and acceptance of of what is faith and what is bullshit, right? Jersey Girl, moving past trauma, Mallrats, eating shitty pretzels. I got nothing for Mallrats. Okay, it's just a fun, quirky comedy. But all of these movies have all of these things, and like Kevin Smith is really good at that. And to get to this and to have such a bold moment of killing off the main character, the one that started off the View Askew universe, for no real reason, it just felt empty and it just sucked. It made me sad, not for Dante. I'm fine with killing off Dante. He's been told me he's been trying to kill him off since the first one, that was the original ending of it. That Dante gets held up and gets shot. So I'm not against Dante dying. It's just, I just wish it had been more cathartic. I wish that it had meant more. Even if he died to help Randall reach a new place, that would have been something, but for it to just end like this, I don't know. It just sucked. It just sucked. I think it wouldn't have sucked so bad. And I don't know if this movie would have worked. I think it would have changed the entire movie, but it wouldn't have sucked so bad if Rosario Dawson hadn't died.
Yeah. And
he still had a kid and stuff,
Yeah.
But if he kept, picking Randall over them, maybe, and that caused him to have a heart attack and stuff. And then Randall realized, I don't want to rewrite everything, obviously, because it's not my place. It's easy for me to say that. But I don't know. I love Kevin Smith, and I enjoyed a lot of this movie, and I don't know. It just didn't hit me. It didn't hit me right. Yeah. It just felt empty. Felt like they did it just to do it. When they would, in shows when they kill off main characters just for the surprise of it, And I don't know, maybe if I listen to some of his commentaries and stuff or his podcasts, maybe I'll get it more. Maybe I'll realize what he was trying to say, and maybe it was just maybe I didn't clearly understand what he was going for. Yeah. Maybe that's on me. But just seeing it for what it was without any context from outside, it just didn't work. It bummed me out. I don't know. I really hate to end it on that, because the rest of the movie I loved. I loved seeing them recreate the scenes from Clerks. I loved, the Jay and Silent Bob, and especially having followed Kevin Smith for so long and hearing him tell the stories of when they were filming Clerks, and not only seeing them shoot the scenes, but seeing them shoot the scenes as I've heard him talk about how they shot them. Jay refusing to dance.
In front of everybody else.
That actually happened. He actually had to hit record and leave and say action, and then Jay just danced in front of no crew or anything. Yeah. That actually happened. And so there was little things like that I loved, of course all the cameos in it were great. But it just, it felt like all of that just got sucked out because of the ending. Yeah. I don't know. It bummed me out. I don't know what else to say. I think, sorry, there was one last thing. I forgot that I wanted to say this. I think the only way, not the only way, I think a way that could have maybe enhanced it would be if Dante still died, right? But then as we're watching the movie, Randall rewrites the ending. And, the ending to his movie is that Dante lived and Rosario Dawson lived. Mm-hmm. And we see this fictional version of Dante's life having actually been good. Yeah. And I think that even though that was fake, almost like a La La Land situation, I think that could have been cathartic, right? Yeah. And Randall looking past himself and writing a good ending for Dante, right? Hence him growing, because it's not his movie, it's Dante's movie. I feel like that could have done something. Yeah. But yeah, obviously that's not what happened. So, Maggie.
I really enjoyed the part where they're inside the old video store the whole entire time. Because it brought back memories of written videos, and you get the VHS tape in the black case.
Yes.
And the fact that at the beginning of the movie, I didn't quite catch it until they were back inside the store, that they were hiding the weed inside of one of those rental cases.
Yeah.
That's the case that Bob opens up. And
Silent Bob. How dare you.
How dare I? Silent Bob opens up and they throw it up to that guy up on the roof.
The comic book man.
Yeah, the comic book man.
Yeah. That was them.
I know it was them. I saw the names.
I was like, holy shit, it's Walt Flanagan.
I really like that part because, like, just seeing that Silent Bob and Jay just didn't care that all those movies were still there.
Yeah.
And, like, they asked Randall, hey, don't you have a video store? And he's like, this is it. Remember? This is the store. And they look around. Oh, yeah, it is.
Can I say, I do not buy the joke of them not knowing Dante's name. Like that.
Sergio.
That, like, I get it. I know Jay and Silent Bob, right? Like, I get that they're stupid and stuff. But, like, that joke, that felt so forced.
Yeah.
Like, it just did not feel legit.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe that they wouldn't know Dante's name is Sergio. Or that they would think it's Sergio.
Sergio, yeah. Of all the names, Sergio.
Yeah, come on.
I really liked that they brought back Veronica.
Yeah. I was really surprised by that.
Those Emma, was it the other one that he was engaged to?
Oh, yeah. Kevin Smith's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was all very interesting. Yeah.
And even Jay's
daughter. Well, that's Kevin Smith's daughter.
I mean, we're in spoilers.
Yeah.
So Jay's daughter from Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Yeah. I thought that was really cool that she showed up.
Yeah.
I don't know why she would be there, but I mean, it was fun. It was good. Tobias, not Tobias. What's his name?
Oh, Elias.
Elias.
God, what the heck, man? Elias, like, did a whole 180.
I'm not even against him becoming a Satanist. It's just the looks that he had.
Oh, I know.
That just changed every scene.
I think that was part of the joke, though. That was the running joke that Elias, every time we see him, a different scene, he is going to look different. He's going to have outrageous goth clothes.
The gauntlet at the
yeah,
killed me like a knight's gauntlet.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I just liked when Dante has his heart attack and him and Randall standing in the hospital, and Elias is like, when I was standing here last, that's when I refused the Lord and accepted Satan as my savior. Like, that was ridiculous. And then the fact that he was praying at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
They even showed that.
Dude. Oh my God. It was,
And then also he prayed at the end for the money.
Oh, yeah.
His Silent Bob comes running in, and he actually starts talking and screaming. And, he's like, I got money. We've got money. We made money.
It was,
That was a roller coaster ride with Elias.
It was weird. That whole movie was good. I don't know. I have nothing else to say. I'm just going to start repeating everything that I said.